there would be a lot of things that I need fixed in Call of Duty 4, and I'm sure that everybody else would, but I like to tackle some of the most important things of Call of Duty 4 that I think need to be fixed, just for the average gamer, and to keep the interest of the people. And IW doesn't have to try that hard with coming out with map downloadable content and new guns and stuff. They can do the little things to keep the interest of the average player. I'd like to go over that average player list that would keep the interest of players that I've seen in other games keep the interest of players without adding any DLC content. Now, here's some of the things, and I made a little outline, and I'm just going to go over some of the things. Well, number one, I would like to talk about rewarding, no reward for the death. Now, what does this mean, no reward for the death? Essentially, what this means is people who have Martyrdom, which is a third perk slot item, what Martyrdom does is that if you die, you drop a grenade, automatically drops a grenade from you when you die. And when you drop a grenade from you and you automatically die, then basically the explosion radius is much higher than a regular grenade. Now here's two problems that I have with Martyrdom. One, it's in the wrong slot, and it's an explosive. It's in the third perk slot. It's probably the most powerful perk out of all the perks in the third slot, and the most used. And I think that IW needs to move this perk to slot 1, because there's other important perks in slot 1 that would force the player to make a choice between perks, and then this in turn would make it more feasible. If they didn't want to change Martyrdom, let's say they didn't want to change it or get rid of it, well, at least move it to slot 1. Make it a point so people have a choice. You put a player into a choice where they have to use it, and it's more of a creative situation. It's really not too creative when you got it in slot 3. It's a no-brainer. If you're not using Martyrdom, really, there's, I can go on and on about it, but I'm not. But seriously, the main reason I think that it's not a good perk is because it rewards the death, and it shouldn't reward the death in a first-person shooter game. Number 2. 2 out of 3 perk slots are useless. Move Marty to slot 1. Well, I've already covered that, so that was basically 1 and 2 in the same thing. Number 3, the human door jam. Ever since beta, people like to act like a door. I can't even jump over them. Well, basically what this is that people get in the doorway, and the funny part is you could shoot and kill an enemy through your teammate, but you can't go through him or over him. If they're in a doorway, you can't get through. A lot of people say, well, just go around. Well, sometimes that doesn't permit itself, so you're in a bad situation. I think that needs to be changed. People like to they want to set up shop. It could be a sniper using the door jam as a cover, and you got people that respawn right behind the guy who's camping in the doorway, and then for some reason the guy that was fighting in the doorway, whoever was out there, threw a grenade and basically killed everybody who just spawned right behind the guy that couldn't get through the door. So I think it's pretty unfair. It doesn't lend itself to every situation, and it's troublesome. Excuse me. Number 4, the leaderboards are a joke, being completely abused by Domination, Headquarters, and Search and Destroy. These 3 game types don't even equal the total amount of the majority of people playing the game, but yet they rule the leaderboard. This is an obvious problem. If you have less than 6 to 8% of the total population online playing these 3 game types, and they rule the leaderboard, it's an obvious problem. The leaderboard is completely messed up. You cannot have the minority ruling the leaderboards. Headquarters and Wetworks. This is totally ridiculous. You got 1 spot on the board, and it's just straight kill fest. And then on top of that, you got an arty strike on this one of the smallest boards. On these small boards for Headquarters, you shouldn't even have an arty strike. It shouldn't even be on there. I mean, Artie Strike kills. I mean, for all we know, the leaderboards could be nothing but Martys and Arties. I mean, that really needs to be fixed. And it's not fair to other people who play the game. They'd have no recourse on this. I mean, if you're going to make a great game, why give us a general leaderboard like a 1985 leaderboard on a Pac-Man where it just shows the person with the highest score? I mean, you can't have a great game and a shitty leaderboard. I mean, the leaderboard should be separated by every game type and every weapon. You know, for all I know, the guy that's leading the leaderboard could be an Artie Strike master with Martum. How do we know that? We don't. So for the pool of players that are playing, how do you keep their interest if you have people that are just straight boosting on headquarters and domination? I mean, this is where you get most of your kills. I mean, if you play headquarters, there's 1 point on the board. Everybody guards that 1 point, and they just kill everybody that runs to that spot. It's that simple. Domination's it's even easier if you got a good team. For one, it's partied ranked matchmaking. So I could party up with people that have a lot of experience. We come across a team that has no experience, that's not even a team, and all we do is push them to one flag, camp that one flag, and they just keep respawning at that last flag, and they keep getting killed over and over and over. They can never break that spawn. That's why the kill leaderboard is abused by headquarters and domination. Now, as far as search and destroy, I mean, you have people finishing games that are boosting in less than a minute and getting 500 points but have no kills. So how is that fair to people who actually play search and destroy, who earn their points, to people who don't earn their points and get their points and don't even have any kills? I mean, there should be some type of formula where kills times game wins times search and destroy equals your total score, and that's how it should be judged. I mean, they talk about, you have people say, oh, listen, we don't have online achievements because that'll deter online gameplay for multiplayer teamwork. But yet, their leaderboards totally encourage boosting. Exactly what they didn't want in online achievements. If you're going to have HQ on small map, there should be no Artie Strikes and Helos. That's just ridiculous. I already covered that. The hardcore should be separate. Team hardcore should be separate. I know for a fact it would be played more than cage matches. Why even bunch up game types if you're not going to have random matchmaking? That's another thing. If you're not going to have random matchmaking, then how are you going to have random game types? I mean, that's total ass backwards. Usually it's the other way around. Separate leaderboards for weapons and all that I've already covered. And and then the host thing. People obviously they're coming out with a patch for that, but a person drops a game, everybody gets dropped, and now there's this thing where people are getting suspended because Microsoft Xbox Live is, you're not logged out, but your memory's still in the game, but when you log back on, then they think you're cheating. You're trying to do the beta glitch, where people were signing on using other people's hard drives, and people are getting suspended for no reason for 3 days for that. So I mean, these are some of the minor things that need to be fixed, to keep the little things they need to do, and this game could go a long way without all this DLC and weapons and everything else. So if you just fix those things, I mean, I think it'd be much interesting, and it would keep the interest of the pool of players that you already have. Right now, you're discouraging the new players from coming into the game with this type of game type and gameplay. And then of course what happens is people come on these boards and bitch because they can't even get a break. They're getting slaughtered because they don't know where to go. So with that being said, if you want a fair game, my suggestion to you, if you're listening to this video, is to play Team Deathmatch or Team Hardcore. I mean, that's where the real gaming's at, and that's where the highest percentage of players are playing. All you got to do is look at the total number of players playing that game type and divide that into the number, and that'll give you the percentage, and it'll clearly show you where the majority of the players are at.